Hey there, welcome back to the table. I have not forgotten about this game. I just got really busy and of course I had to abruptly end the last video. But I'm glad I did because I did this battle for France. So we left off that it was Castile's turn. But on the previous turn, at the very end of the last video, France went to war with Burgundy. And I didn't do it justice. First of all, a war tag. Oh gosh. You always have to remember to switch to the game master. The war tag. France is at war with Burgundy, and you should probably put it over the capital. That's just a small thing. But we didn't do the battle correctly. So there is a 2 and 3, like I calculated. However, the actual NPR rules are you have to also add anything that's adjacent to the what do you call this? Like an area. So you have Picardy and Artois here, which are also Burgundy. So Burgundy actually had 5 armies in this particular battle. We rolled 3 dice, and in fact, you can still see the results. They're right here. We rolled 3 dice, but we were supposed to roll 2 more. But that's not everything. I'm going to go ahead and roll these 2 dice. So we got another hit in. So France would have lost 1 more, but it's still not over. When the NPR has a 3 or bigger strength, then you have to draw a military card. And if you get a general, like this guy, then he rolls those 3 dice. So we're going to roll 3 artillery dice now. And that's 3 more hits. Oh my gosh. But it's still not enough to defeat France, but it definitely did a lot of damage. Burgundy still lost the battle, but it was a lot more hits. And then I had also promised you that I was working on a spreadsheet. That is complete now, and I was able to find it. So let me get it here. And this is it. Now I know it looks a little intimidating, but the chart is here, and then I just have some notes at the bottom. Okay, so the way you look at this is these are the attackers. So I have human, bot, NPR, DNPR, and rebel. Okay, and then this is who is being attacked. So then you have your different rules for each one. My number one frustration with this game is not only did they make the rules different, which is super confusing to people trying to learn this game, but they didn't give you a player aid to just do exactly what I just did here. So, very infuriating with the people who made this game, who, by the way, are quite awesome at supporting their Discord channel. They're good. I mean, everything about them they're very nice people. But I don't know why they have mental lock on simple concepts like, oh gosh, somebody learning this game needs a chart like this. Anyways, that's my soapbox. Let's go ahead and continue. So in this situation, it's a bot attacking an NPR. And so here you can see the bot rolls 1 infantry die per NPR unit. Now it says each F or G result. It just, each infantry result equals 1 bot casualty. If bot has units remaining, bot wins and all of their units are removed. I don't actually put units on the board. That would be a waste of time, but that is how this works. And really it should be this here. I don't know why I wrote it differently. Oh, yeah, so really I should improve this. So per NPR unit, and then I'm going to put units equals MC. And if I have 3 or more, draw a military card. If it has leader, add it to the battle dice. The only difference is when we're fighting the NPR, there's an actual combat. They're going to roll dice to hit us, and we're going to roll dice to hit them. But with the bot situation, there is no actual combat. It's more of a exactly how I just resolved it. So bot's going to roll 1 infantry dice per whatever. Units equals MC. Each infantry result is a casualty. If the bot has units remaining, the bot wins. It's that simple. And I mean, technically the bot doesn't roll. It's the NPR rolls, right? If a leader has a... So we should probably also say, just to be more clear, the NPR is going to roll 1 infantry die per unit. All right. And then, of course, I added some rebel rules, like if you're fighting against rebels. The rebels are very similar to the NPR. They do have physical units that are going to be on the board. The only difference is like if the rebels actually were to win, half their strength gets removed from the board because there's physical units on the board with rebels. NPRs are, as long as they control their provinces, they will generate these units infinitely. They have infinite manpower, blah, 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 blah. And then the NPR can attack you, but that's only in phase 3 for both you or the bot. So the phase 3 is after everybody passes. We're in phase 2 right now. So there is rules, though, where the NPR can attack you, but it doesn't happen until later. And then, of course, the rebels. This is just rebels spawning in areas that you have troops. So it is possible rebels are attacking you. It's more of a, they just spawned in an area where you have your army. But obviously, when you're attacking rebels, there are rules there as well. So as far as the notes go, the bots have this concept of what they call MAC, and that's how large their army is allowed to be. So if the bot somehow had 60 manpower, they theoretically could have a size 60 army. And the MAC depends on the connection to the capital. So if they're connected to the capital, their MAC is unlimited. So they really could have a size 60 army. I know I'm being super hyperbole here, but anyways, I'm over exaggerating it. I don't think you'd ever get to 60 manpower, but you get the idea. If there isn't a continuous connection to the capital, the MAC is the MC for the area plus 3. Now I know we haven't talked about MC yet. We got to talk about that in a second. But it determines how many units are available to participate in the combat. So if you had an army of, let's say, 12, but the MAC is only 9, 3 of those units would just sit aside. They would not participate in the battle. That really confuses me a little bit on, okay, but what happens if the bot loses? So now you got those 3 units left. I guess that just you continue to the next round. That's a little fuzzy to me, but it says the units beyond the MAC are laid down, do not participate, and cannot be casualties. Now, also, there's a naval bridge. So if you're connecting back to the capital, but let's say you're England, right, and you're dealing with Normandy, you got to go across the water to connect back to the capital. Well, it's still MAC equals MC plus 3, but it's a minimum of 9. So you can have a size 9 army if you can trace back to your capital over water. Now, what is MC? MC is the combined tax value of the realms, own plus vassal provinces in and adjacent to the area, which is what the NPRs just did with Burgundy. We just did this with Burgundy. So that's what the MC is. So if you're looking at Normandy here, so this is a 1, 2, 3. Then you look at the adjacent area. That's a 5, right? So you got an MC of 5 so far. But the MC rules do go across the English Channel if you have a ship here. So that's a 5, and then you got a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? So their MC would be 12 over here. Since it's connected to the capital over water, the MC plus 3 would be 15. Well, 15 is greater than 9, so So that 9 rule is just in case if they didn't have such a good, strong adjacency, they would at least be able to field a 9 army there. Now, what does adjacency do? And I know we're getting into some weeds here, but adjacency, when you're calculating MC, has to do with the ports. So this port here in Wessex, see that? It actually is connecting to the English Channel and to the Eastern Atlantic. So that port is counted as both. Now, adjacency is anywhere where you have a ship, which is here, and you're connecting back to the capital. Well, no, connecting back to the capital doesn't matter, but for purposes of MC calculation, it does. But adjacency, like what's adjacent to Brittany and Normandy, this area? You have a ship. There's no enemies in the area, so you have control of the area with your ship. And you have a port that shares the sea zone. So if I'm calculating my MC for this area here, it has ports in the English Channel, and then so does Wessex, and so does London. So that's why these two areas are adjacent to Brittany and Normandy. But that's also why York is not. So the Northumbria area has a port here and here, but neither of those ports are in this English Channel. So that's why you can't count Northumbria. Now, in a similar vein, you could say, well, hold on a second. There's a port here that goes into the Bay of Biscay. So technically, Navarra could be adjacent to Brittany and Normandy if England controlled Rennes, right? This has to be controlled by England. That port doesn't belong to England, and England would also have to control this port, right? But if England controlled this port and this port, the troops that are down here in the Aragon area are technically adjacent to Brittany and Normandy. They would also need a ship here, right? There's a bunch of if statements there, but I'm trying to help you understand that that's how adjacency works for calculating MC. So getting back to this, it's the combined tax value, and that determines your MAC is your MC plus 3, or it's unlimited if you're connected to the capital. Now for the MPRs, the units is equal to the MC. So that's how we calculated Burgundy. And then I have for the phase 3 invasion, these are the rules for how the invasion works. This is the MC definition. And then there is a strange rule. If an NPR is an active ally of a player realm, that's what PR stands for. And a player realm is bot or human. So let's say Burgundy was my ally as Austria. And now France is at war with Burgundy. They'd technically be at war with me as well. But in that case, only half the MC is used for Burgundy. So we would calculate the 5 and then cut it to half. And in this game, you always round up. So there are some restrictions. Occupied provinces produce 0 troops or MC value. The sea adjacency, I explained already. And here you can see, once again, I'm just reiterating their defense values. Ports adjacent only by sea contribute 0 if there's sea zones that are hostile. This is more like the whole sea zone thing, like when you're dealing with the Byzantines and some of the, or even Portugal, who has sea zone connections to their islands, like Madeira, you got to worry about that a little bit more. And then if they are a distant province, which means that they are here in America or Africa or even the Siberia stuff you see here, if they're any of those areas, then you double the tax value. I mean, not for the purposes of taxes, but for the purposes of calculating MC. So now there is one thing. In my copy of the game, I have a new board that blows up this area here. So it completely replaces what you see here. And it also replaces this, the Far East. It sort of like combines this plus this plus this. Like all three of them are combined on a new board. And I'm not sure why they did it. Like what's the advantage? I mean, I guess it makes it less cluttered. I don't know. But they did do that. And anyways, let's get back to regular scheduled programming. I know I went way deep in the weeds on this, but this spreadsheet is very helpful. And I also have one for C Combat, which is also frustrating to remember because it's different again. And so the bots have this really weird, bizarre, where they roll a bunch of dice and just, they also get automatic hits for every 2 ports that are in the C zone. Like it's just, there's a lot of weird, really weird rules. And the NPR is the same deal. They can't actually hurt the bot unless they can overcome 2 plus the number of bot ports. All these strange formulas. And so anyways, I have it all in here in the spreadsheet, and we'll refer to it as we need. And then let's go ahead and get to Castile here. So we've been flying through and just drawing cards as we go, but I do want to point out that when we're doing the bot actions, the first check is if their cubes are 0. That's not the case. I mean, you can see here they have 5 cubes, but pay attention that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spent cubes. This is the part you need to pay attention to. They have 5 active, 7 spent. So are they under attack? No. Or is their army on the map and can they siege something? No. Do they have 3 or more left and have colonists? No. Have they spent more than they have left? Yes. That's the thing. So then are they at war? No. So have they picked an event? No. So they're going to be the first to pick an event. So we're going to go up to here, and Castile is going to move up. And this is to indicate that they're choosing an event. And then we roll a die. I guess it doesn't matter which one. I rolled this one. I got a 2. And now what do they do for the event? Well, there is an actual event flowchart. I'm too far into this. Yeah, look at this nonsense. Oh, where's the event? Here it is. So they're going to roll a die. We rolled a 2. So they're going to pick the second one from the event. And they're going to gain a cube if there's any ducats on the event. We'll talk about that in a second. And then is it an opponent's event? If it is, they always choose option B. Otherwise, they always choose option A. And then they would resolve secondary effects on the event. We do that whether it's human or bot. Now, the only thing that's interesting with this die roll, because you won't see me come back to this very often, there's 3 event cards. Where did we do the events? I know we set them up somewhere here. We set them up here. These are the 3 event cards. I know they're upside down. I apologize. Let me switch it around. So we have 1, 2, 3 event cards. So if the bot rolls a 1, 2, or 3, they're going to pick 1, 2, or 3. Like it's just respectively. The only time it gets interesting is if they roll a 4, 5, or 6. If it's a 5 or 6, they're checking to see if it's their own event. And if it is, then they choose it. So they have the highest likelihood chance of selecting their own event. And then they choose it. Now there are, on Board Game Geek, there's some people house ruling this, that if their own event's out there, they don't roll the die at all. They just choose their own event. And I sort of like that rule. I'll be honest with you. I think it's a little ridiculous that they don't choose their own event. We're going to play this game where we follow the bot chart, because I want you to see the balance of the game of them, just going with the die roll. But and it is possible that a human player may not want to choose their own event. I just think that in most cases you do want to choose your own event. So, but anyways, a bot with a 5 or a 6 would choose their own. But if their own's not out there, then what do? They check to see if they're at war. And if they're at war with that opponent, then they would choose their opponent's card. A 4 is also, they would choose an opponent's card, and that's whether they're at war with them or not. So, just to recap, a 5 or a 6, they choose their own event. If they're at war, they'll try to choose whoever they're at wars with. Otherwise, they just choose the left one, this one. So you could argue that this one's the highest likelihood chance, because if they rolled a 1, they choose this. If they roll a 5 or a 6 and their event's not out here, they still choose this, as long as they're not at war. Now, the 4 is any opponent, so it'd be anybody, whether they're at war or not, they're going to choose somebody else's event. And, obviously, they would choose option B, like you can see here. And it is possible that this one is an opponent's event, because they, it's the leftmost one. In this case, no one's event is out here. Nobody. And we rolled a 2, so they're taking this one, the Death of Charles the Bold. And then what happens is, here it says if they have 10 or more cubes and less than 8 large towns, they're going to spend 2 to develop a small into a large. Man, I totally forgot that they do that. They prefer a core province and then one without unrest. I totally forgot that they do that. I'm glad I came here and checked this. But they need to have 10 or more cubes. And they don't. At least in the case of Castile, they don't. They're at 5. So this is not going to happen every time. Because most of the time, this only gets triggered if you have less of these than you've spent. Now, there is an event card that you can draw from the bot deck. So if they draw that exact card, they could do it while they have 10 or more cubes. So it's very crafty. Tucci or Turchi, whatever the guy's name is that came up with the solo rules for this. I'm not a fan of him having different rules for bots versus NPRs versus everything else. And if he was going to go down that path, I feel like he was obligated to come up with a spreadsheet like the one I just created. But this is very ingenious. I am very impressed with this, because this is not going to trigger all the time. Just putting that one condition of 10 or more completely changes it, so it's some of the time. Anyways, I'm getting sidetracked here. They're doing option 2, which is the Death of Charles the Bold. Now, per the game rules, and this is whether it's us or anybody, the ones that aren't selected get 2 coins on them. That's why you see me having sets of 2 up here. And then also, this is going to slide to the left, which is very important for purposes of, because the bot chooses left, middle, or right. You need to preserve this order. And then you're going to draw the next card, which is the Neapolitan Succession. And so this is going to be in place for the next time somebody chooses an event. So we got to resolve this card, Death of Charles the Bold. And let's just read it real quick. All player realms adjacent to Burgundy, except you, gain 1 military power. Now, with bots, there is no such thing as it's just bot power. So we got to look at what's adjacent to Burgundy. So right now, that is me. I'm adjacent to Burgundy. France is adjacent. England is adjacent. And I think that's it. So 3 of us are adjacent to Burgundy. So in the case of France, they're just going to get 1 power. And same for the case of England. They're going to get 1 power. Now look at this. This is a case where they might actually have more than 10 cubes, right? And then to me, I gain a military power. So it's going to go specifically there. All right, so that's the first piece of the card. So now we're going to come back and resolve the rest here. Now, they're going to choose option A because this is not an opponent's card. So the Burgundian sovereignty would have been interesting, but they're choosing Mary of Burgundy's hand. So it says, if you have any influence in the Burgundian areas, gain a royal marriage with Burgundy and place 3 in their areas. Now, this was Castile, if I remember correctly. And they do. They have 1 cube here. That's really insane, but they do. So, Castile, it's actually totally in line with the video game. And, I mean, to be quite honest, it's, I think, historically aligned, because Castile ends up with all this territory up here, which I think were Burgundian territories. So Castile does get a marriage with them, and they get to put 3 more cubes out. This is all of a sudden becoming a very busy area. I'll put it down here near Savoy, since Savoy's not in most of the action. Okay. Also, since France declared war, this claim is technically not there anymore. So let me zoom out a little. Okay. Are we done with the card? Well, we're done with the top part. So now we got to resolve the secondary effects. That's the stuff along the bottom. So this here, you see the little, it looks like, oh gosh, Nicolas Cage played the, wasn't it Marvel Comics, the guy who was on the motorcycle, right? It's got the fire skull. So this is, it's really funny because it's on the player aid. So let me find a player aid. Where's my player aids? So we have all of the stuff summarized here. And on the player aid, it's called attrition. All player realms at war, except you, lose 1 land unit for every 4 deployed. So the only one at war right now is France. And they do lose troops. So currently, though, they only have 3 deployed. The rest are dead. So they lose 1 for every 4. But it's always round up, so they're losing 1. Well, let me think about that. Oh gosh, where's the player aid again? Well, actually, we have a but rule. My apologies. There's rules for everything in this game. So we can actually go up and they have right here, secondary effects. Resolve is normal. Okay, so there's no special rules for the bots. So what's the normal rule again? Let's look at it more carefully. Lose 1 land for every 4. All right, so I'm going to say they don't lose any land units because they have less than 4. So they'll keep their 3. Before before Burgundy did all this damage to them, they for sure would have lost. And anyways, now we're done with the card fully. And some of these cards can get pretty involved. And then the secondary effects can be pretty involved. Like you could spend a whole 20 minutes just resolving a card. But anyways, Castile is done. Next up is England, who has plenty of cubes. So we're going to draw another bot card, and you can see it's Unrest, and then Spy. So getting to the Unrest stuff, if I remember correctly, see, they can put a core out. So I don't believe they have any Unrest. We'll check real quick. But they're going to put out a core in an eligible area with the highest tax value. So that's a very interesting concept. But England, an Unrest would be something flipped over like this, and there is no Unrest. They don't have core here or here, but you need to control all the provinces in the area. And they don't have that either. So they're not doing a core. So what that means is they're going to move to the spy action. And so that's going to cost them 2 cubes. And that goes here. And I also want to point out a very important distinction. There are spend cubes and then there's lose cubes. If they spend cubes, it goes here. If they lose cubes, it goes here. So pay attention to the words. They do matter. All right, so now we got to get to the spy action. They're not at war with anybody. So now they're not at war with an NPR. Oh, we always played that they added 2 unrest to. Man, I'm glad I checked this as well. So they're going to go to their military chart. So now it's just, you're bouncing around so much in this game. So now they're doing this. Are they at war? No. Do they have a claim? They probably do. So let's check. England has no claims. Are they an area adjacent? So technically, no, because they're not adjacent to these. And just so you know, even if they were, we would ignore it. Because England doesn't score points, I think, for these. Although they could possibly influence it. We'd have to check. But in this case, they're not an adjacent, so we're not going to waste our time. So the answer is no. Do they have a royal marriage with it flipped up? And the answer is no. And then they're going to go to their military chart. So let's go ahead and roll for their military chart. They rolled a 6. So here a 6 is France if adjacent by land. So they're choosing France for their military target. Is the target an opponent? Yes. Do they have a casus belli? No. Are they papal controller? I don't think so. So they're going to put a claim on. We'll check to see if they're papal controller. I mean, technically they are papal controller. That's pretty wild. Yeah, right now England is papal controller. So they can excommunicate ruler for 2 cubes. So what are they doing? They're going to... Oh, it says can call crusade. No. They can't call crusade. It's not a Muslim target. So let's go back to original programming here. We're going to put a claim on and then call it a day. Because the claim doesn't declare war or anything. They're putting a claim on France. Now, this claim is claim 1. Yeah, we'll take that one. You always have to pick a 1 through 6. There's a 7 and 8 out there. But you're going to roll dice to see if your claims hit. And you can't use 7 and 8 because there's no 7 or 8 on a 6-sided die. Now, where do they put the claim? Well, it's against France. So it has to be where there's French presence. And it would also be... I believe it's going to be here. Because they have presence there and there's French in the same area. Now, we can verify this. This is not a guessing game. So here, it might not be in this section. Oh, it might be, because we said military gain claim. Sometimes they have subnotes, which they don't have here. Placing claims. That's on NPRs. Oh boy. I don't think this section covers it quite the way. Like, that's if you're putting a claim on an NPR. There's 3 types of targets: realms, owner of, realm in an area. I think the France one was it's realm for sure. But warfare. Here we go. The bot will only use the number 1 through 6. When a bot needs to place a claim, but all tokens are in play, that does not help. That does not help. So where do they put the claim? I mean, I guess it technically doesn't matter. Because if they declare war on France, they're declaring war on all of France, not just on that area. So maybe I'm being a little too worried here. Here we go. Prefer adjacent then capital. So it tells you right here on the thing. So adjacent in this case is here. Then the capital, of course, is there. Which you could argue, hey, hold on a second, Jeff. The capital is adjacent. This adjacency rules per the game includes the provinces that are sharing the same area as yourself. That's also considered adjacent. It's not just adjacent areas. So this is adjacent. I'm going to put it there. But like I said, if this claim hits, they're declaring war on France. It doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, let's just put it right on top of the capital, I guess. There's no reason not to. Anyways, okay. Because the other reason, like, you may want to put a claim here is they could declare war on Anjou or Brittany. But that's not what England specifically ruled France. So we'll put it right on France's capital. How about that? Okay, that may have taken a little longer than necessary, but we did good there. Now we're going to jump down to, what is this? Denmark, who still has more cubes than spent, or at least equal. 2, 4, 5, yeah. So we're going to go ahead and, whoops, draw a card. Oh, we got another military. So we're going to spend 2. Same deal. We're going down the military track. First thing we got to check is, do they have claims? I don't think they do. They have unrest. They have a core. But there's no actual claims. So let's go ahead and roll for their bot chart. We rolled a 4, which is Pomerania. And it says a realm in Pomerania. So let's grab a claim. And yes, the claim is not on the area, it's on the actual realm. So Pomerania is here, and they always choose the one that has the highest tax base. So it's going to be Stettin here, because there's 2 of them. And you just put it right on the capital, so you can indicate who their claim is on. And I believe they're done, because we just went through this bot chart. So yeah, we would have gone here, and then boom, out the door. And they're going to be taking an event soon. So now we go, it's our turn. And I'm so busy worrying about the bots, I haven't even been thinking about what I want to do. I do have the subjugate, which I think I wanted to use at some point here. And then I wanted to, like, use a national focus to get more diplomatic power. But that's right. I can't do the subjugate because I need a diplomatic power. Now, I don't want to lose the subjugate card. Because if I play it, it goes in a discard pile. It could disappear forever. What I want to be able to do is I want to be able to play it, consolidate my cubes to get diplomatic power back. But part of the change national focus action that lets you consolidate these cubes is I can discard cards to get this card back. I can go into the discard pile and pull one back. So I have the owner vassalized 2, or we have the decline of Hungary, where I need a bigger tax base. The subjugate is going to help me get the bigger tax base. That is for sure. So what does subjugate do? Well, we have all these cubes in these various areas. I think I was gearing up to go to war with Venice. I have a ship, which is going to let me attack their capital. When you see a blue port, that means this is an island territory or an island province, and you need to have a ship to be able to invade that. My choices were Venice. See, now the reason why I also like Venice is because they're outside of the HRE, so I'm not going to anger my people. Going to war with him is going to be more challenging because he's a bot. He does have one province that I want to kick him out of. The problem is that it's just one province. Now, I don't have to stop. I could keep going and trying to take more of his provinces. But because he expanded so much, it's going to be really hard to take all of them. And I think I like the idea of Venice first. But Venice is also a problem because you got this one down here. And then they have even one way down there. So here's what's going to happen. Whether it's Denmark or Venice, if by the time everybody passes, we go to the peace and resolution section, if I don't have entire control over every province that they own, I can't fully annex them. So then you're going to end up doing this like white peace kind of thing. And you're not forced to do it. Like you could say, hey, I want to stay at war. If you do, you're going to gain a bunch of unrest. But you could choose to stay at war. And that war will linger into the next part of Age 1. One of the options is you could just say as is, right? So the NPR or the bots will almost always say yes to it as long as you control territory. So then whatever territory you control, you get to keep, except for the capital. You have to always give up the capital. And if you control the capital, you can ransom it. Like you get, I think, 10 coins or something like that. But you do have to give it back to them. Now, I think you can ransom it for 10 coins, or you could just take, like, this remote one. Like, they'll give you a province. But no, either way, you're giving back the capital. But if I control these areas, just this here, that's a big win for me. And it's going to increase my tax base by at least 2. And if I ransom it for a third one, I can, take this one or even creep down here. And then it would let me get to, that'd be a 3 tax base increase, which is pretty darn good. My current tax base is 9. So that would get me to 12. And the reason I want to get to 12 is I want to have a base tax of at least 11 to do the decline of Hungary action. So I know that's a lot of explanation, but that's really where we're at here. So I do only have 3 cubes of military power. It's not a lot. I'm going to spend 1 to declare war. And then I'm going to have to spend the others to do sieging. And it's not going to last very long. I'm actually going to be unable to take it all. This would be 2, 3. That's 4 cubes. It's not easy. Okay, so going back to our player aid here, So I can declare war, and then there's stuff on the back of the player aid. That costs 1, and then activating the units costs 1 more. So it's a little annoying. It's going to take multiple turns to resolve this. There's an action sequence you do. Oh, yeah. See, now I have a Casus Belli because they control territory that's inside of the HRE. So it's a special HRE call to arms. And I'm pretty sure that we went through this, that the HRE call to arms will include these 4. Or maybe those 4 are only used if you're defending the HRE. And let's see, that's what the little checkbox up here is. And technically I have a tax income, but that's not a tax base. So I don't think I get to include these 4 guys. But I do have the +3, as we said, of manpower, which is why I have all these troops. Okay, I am going to declare war on Venice. And this might be problematic. So, when I do that, I have to check to see if it triggers any land battles. It does not, because my armies are up here. However, it does trigger a naval battle. They have 3 ports in the Adriatic Sea, and I have 1 light ship here. This is not good, actually. I actually have 4 ports. 1, this counts as 2 for 3, and that's a 4th one. And they actually get automatic hits. Oh man, I don't want to do this. Now that I'm looking at that, I don't want to do this. Let me show you why. So it's an NPR, and it's me. So NPR defends according to normal NPR naval battle rules, which is this. I really should have just copied this over. So what they're going to do is they're going to roll 1 artillery die per ship. They score for 1 hit for every cannon. So here we go. The number of ports owned by the NPR that face the sea zone. Large ports counts as 2. The resulting... Okay, so you just do a normal naval battle. Okay, yeah. So what they're going to do is they're going to produce 2, 3, 4 ships. The resulting NC determines how many ships the NPR uses to defend that sea zone. So they'd be using 4 ships against my 1. And I'm probably going to lose that battle. And that's why I was like backing off. Like, I'm not sure I could win that. Now, what this means is I can still do it. I might lose my ship in the Adriatic Sea. I think in the video game, that's exactly what would have happened. I can still take this province and this province and settle a peace treaty with them. I never have their capital because I won't have this ship. But I could still force them to let me keep these 2, and one of them is still going to liberate. I think yeah, let's move forward with this plan. I'm gonna do it. So we go in. So now we have a naval battle. And it's 4 of them versus 1 of me. And that's not good, but it is what it is. And then I got to come back. Let's look at our player aid here. For a naval battle, everybody rolls 3 artillery dice, plus any dice from your leader military skill, or any military cards played. I don't have any military cards to play. I don't have a admiral, so there's no skills there. And then, of course, you see it scores a hit with any ship. If you have heavy ships, there's 1 automatic hit. Heavy ships automatically hit once. You capture a ship if you roll a double. If the enemy's been eliminated, of course. Um, so that's step 5 here. And if you bring your enemy leader into battle, you can take a wound if the bot or NPR rolls 2 of these. So you don't want that. Okay. I just hit the space bar, so I did not mean for that to happen. So getting back to this, it's 4 of them versus 1 of me. Now, regardless, there's 3 dice rolled for me or them. The problem is since I have 1 ship, I can only hit him once. Since he has 4 ships, he could hit me with all 3 dice. And so I'm going to go ahead and roll for me first. See, like this normally would be 2 hits, but since I only have 1 ship, I only hit 1 of theirs. So they went from 4 ships down to 3. And then all they need to do is roll 1 hit and I'm done. And they did. So I got 1 of them, but they got me, so my ship is gone. And the fact that I got 1 of them isn't tracked anywhere. They're back to having 4 ships the next time. But we are now officially at war. So I got to take my little war symbol here and put it on the capital of Venice. What that means, though, is I can't siege Venice. Which might be fine, because I said I didn't have enough cubes anyways. So that's why I decided to move forward. Okay, my turn is done. So now we move to Poland. And they're going to do an event. So they have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they won't be upgrading a town. But even though they still have a lot of cubes left, they're going to do an event right now. And I always forget where the event cards are. Here they are. So we're going to just roll this die for Poland. We got a 5. If you remember, that means they're going to choose their own event. And if their own event's not out here, they're going to choose event 1. So they're choosing Comet Sighted. And then money goes on these. Next one comes out, and that's the Polish one, which is very unfortunate. But that's how it crumbles here. So that was the first thing. The second thing was there was money on it. So they get a cube. Next thing, we do the actual event. And remember, they always choose A. All players lose 1 stability. Ugh. You gain 2 cubes and may discard up to 3 milestones and or unpicked non-basic ideas and draw random of the same type. All right, well, let's do with everybody losing a stability and them getting 2 cubes. So let's give them the 2 cubes. Now, when a bot loses stability, it's here in this section. They gain 1 unrest because stability is not a thing that they do. So every bot's gaining an unrest, and then we actually do lose stability, which actually hurts. So for us, we're going from here to here, which means we're going to lose 2 ducats when we do our stuff. Let's go ahead and let's do each one. So where does the unrest go? It's always the that's interesting, because if they're choosing for their opponent, it's the largest tax base area, and then like the largest city. But that is a very interesting question. So they're going to gain an unrest. What if they're gaining unrest? Sort of doesn't say, does it? for applying rebellions and removing. Always do it in alphabetical order if no other preference is given. If it benefits the bot or hurts an opponent, prioritize areas of highest tax value. When applying an effect that directly hurts the bot or benefits an opponent, prioritize area of the lowest possible tax value before alphabetic priority. Okay. That makes sense. So let's go back to England. So it'd be lowest tax priority. I mean, it might be Ireland. So Pale would get it. And then in France, Toulouse, maybe? And here in Castile, to Galicia. Or maybe way down here. The Ottomans would be the Greece area. Poland here. And then Moscow. You don't want to pick an area that isn't a core, because it could rebel back and be liberated. You don't want to do that for them. Oh, and then we got to do these guys. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then we already decreased our stability by 1. It hurts us more than anybody, that particular event, for that reason. Okay, and then they may discard up to 3 milestones and or pick unpicked basic ideas. That's this stuff. So the milestones have not been selected, but neither of the ideas. Like, no one has done anything. And you might be saying, okay, well, now what? They do have that in here. It's just it's very complicated. So adopting new religion. I know they cover this. Pick the first option on all sub-options. Use choice processes on page 3. They research ideas. Yeah, I could have sworn I read this somewhere, like what they would do in this situation. Ignore non-applicable effects. If the event had no applicable effects, they would gain a cube. So what is it that they need to do? Oh, this is the thing where they're manipulating the I don't think they do it. Here's why. None of this matters to them. The actual text on these don't matter. They just put cubes on and gain points. So I'm going to just leave it be, because it's just too much of a pain in the butt to figure out what it would be anyways. So who are we doing? We're doing Poland here, and we're doing the event. My apologies for jumping around a lot here. Yeah, and so what's next? Well, now they're going to roll rebel dice, which actually hurts them. You know, we just went down 1 stability. We're fine. And then the squares are going to take a health damage. So let's do the square thing first, because that just affects us. So this is a plus. He's a circle. And he's also a circle, so nobody loses any health. for us. And then I had said that I was holding on to the square here, remember? So now I can place the square down for 1 ducat. Looks like I don't have any ducats left. But I could have. And if I can just get 1 ducat, and then I would have had my advisor. I was holding him back until the squares got selected. So that's one of the things we were doing here. But anyways, no health loss for us. So now we got to do the unrest thing, the rebel dice. So let me show you real quick the chart here. When we do rebel dice rolls, we're going to roll this special die, and there's these different sides. So for us, they have different meanings, but for the bots, whether we roll the cube, the soldier, or the 2, they just lose a cube. Remember, lose is different than spend. They could also have a rebellion, or they could resolve the unrest. They roll rebel dice for all their stuff once, not area by area. And they roll a maximum of 5 rebel dice. So it's a little cheesy because I actually like the idea of doing area by area personally, but it is what it is. Okay, so every bot has just 1 unrest because of this event that just occurred. So what we're going to do is we're going to just grab this 1 rebel die here. Yeah, it looks like it just auto-rolled. Oh, and then it disappears. Okay, so I guess that's how this works. So we're going to choose Castile first. So they rolled rebellion. So what does that mean? That means we take a rebellion token, and their little island is now occupied by rebels. And it now acts like a NPR. Next up is we'll do the Ottomans. So it says exhaust manpower, which just simply means that the Ottomans are going to lose a cube. Let's do England. Lose 2 ducats, which for England is lose a cube. France. Their unrest gets resolved. We did Spain, Denmark. Rebellion in Denmark. That's actually pretty awesome. Poland. They're going to lose a cube. And then Russia, or Muscovy. So nothing happens for them. Okay, I believe that covered everybody. And now we get to... We might be done with the card. Yes, we are done resolving the card. So that was Poland, and then now we go to Muscovy. It is their turn. They still have more cubes, so they will draw. And they have Convert, which I don't think happens. I think it's going to be Focus, Expand. And so that is the 1 cube, and then they force a discard of a military card. But we'll make sure. We got to make sure. Now, Convert just simply means, is there anywhere that's not Orthodox that they control? Like maybe a Catholic area? And the answer is no. So we're good there. All right, so that brings us back to the top of the order. So the Ottomans are next. They have more cubes than they spent. They're going to do an idea. So 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to roll twice, and you'll see what I mean in a second. So we rolled a 4 and then a 3. So the first thing we were doing is picking which of these ideas they're going to take. So it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we rolled a 3. So here it's, this is where it gets a little more wonky because it's not an even divide. So we were doing 1, 2, 3, 4. And I would have re-rolled a 5 or a 6. So they did this and then a 3, which means they take free trade. So we grab one of these little tokens. We put it here. Hold on a second. That looks like a town. One of these tokens. So it goes over free trade. They're going to score 2 points. All right, so they're on the board. And yeah, that's it. Now, for us, we would get to do what it says on the card, but that doesn't work for them. They just get the points, and they have a diplomatic idea. So you take one of their cubes, and it goes on that they now have 1 diplomatic idea. So this means that they get an extra die in naval combat, and also they get +1 when they're influencing for diplomacy. They're going to get a +1. And then this will move to 2 and eventually 3 if they get more ideas. All right, so now we're to France, who is currently at war. And just to help you out here, when you're looking at their bot chart, they're not under attack, but they can siege. So then they're going to do siege. And siege is usually something I never look at, but let's go through here. I must have missed it. Here it is. They siege hostile provinces up to 3 tax value. They spend 1 cube per tax value sieged. And if they're at war or they have towns with unrest or rebellion on them in this area, they end their turn or they remove the army from the map. Which is interesting because the removing the army thing is a little weird, but I understand why they would do that. So anyways, they're here, they're at war with these guys. So this particular so both of these, that's a 2 tax value. That's 1. They can do 3 tax values worth of siege, which means they're doing 1, 2, 3 cubes. And then what they do is they take, this would be a big town. They flip it over. And that shows that it's an unrest because they just sieged it. And same here with this one. Okay, and then you cover it up with these tokens. Where are they? This here. So occupado and occupado. And I know these tokens are, I mean, they're technically on Burgundy, but it's nice to show the occupied. Now, what it's saying then in the flowchart here, they're at war, so the army stays on the map. If somehow they weren't at war or they got rid of all the unrest, then they remove their army. So actually, I was getting confused there, and I was thinking, yeah, why would they remove their army? They don't, which it lines up with what my expectations were. Because then what they're going to do next is they're going to identify they're at war, and they can't siege per se, but they're going to move and try to take the extra. They have more towns to invade. But anyways, that's their turn. They don't draw any cards. It's all dictated by the fact that they're at war and they were able to siege. So now we go to Spain here, who, again, they spent more cubes than they have, and I think they already did their event. They're actually passing. The first bot to pass is going to gain 2 cubes. So they're done. Then we go to England. So still has more than they spent. They're doing a naval action, which is a cool action for them. Naval is, we'll go through the bot chart, but let's see if I can show off, and I think they're going to go exactly there at Dogger Bank. So naval, as far as I understand and remember, is they're going to put a ship in any sea zone where they control a port that doesn't have a ship next to it. That's top priority. So there's this sea zone here for Ireland, Dogger Bank, and then Bay of Biscay. Now, why did I choose this one? Because it's between 2 trade nodes, and that's the next valuable priority. Now, I could be wrong. Let's make sure that I'm getting that right. So with England, we are doing the naval action. Any hostile, they're not at war. So the answer is no. Any sea zones without bot ships adjacent to their ports? Yes. Place such ship in a sea zone, prefer adjacent to most trade nodes. Then alphabetical. Then are they next to pirates? No. So now they're going to draw a trade card. And there's a lot of gobbledygook here, but basically what it's saying is that we're going to look at the trade card. Any bots that can benefit from it will get 2 cubes. I know it says 3, but that's if it's a distant trade node, like in North America. They're going to get 2 cubes. And then any human bot that can use it, he's going to score 2 points. I think I talked about this in my previous video. I prefer that he scores 2 points if anybody can use it. And here's why. It says in the naval check that if there were pirates, he was going to remove the pirates instead of drawing the trade card. This drawing the trade card and scoring points is only going to happen early in the game. Eventually, pirates are going to be everywhere. And they're going to spend all their turns just removing pirates. And they'll never draw a trade card again. So the opportunity to score points is very limited. So Mr. Turtsy, if you're ever watching this video, I think you should change that rule. I think they should just score points, because the opportunity to score the points is very narrow window. Like right now is that opportunity early in the game. So, okay, England's going to draw this card. I'll just put it right on top. They don't draw 3 cards like we do. They just draw 1. And so you can see Seville is the first one. So let's resolve these one at a time. So Seville is currently a trade node that has, for the bots, they have to be adjacent to the trade node. So in this case, Spain benefits from this, and so they would get 2. Which is really interesting because they passed. But now they got all kinds of cubes. All right, but let's keep going. The next one is Alexandria or the Adriatic Sea. Now, we would have benefited from the Adriatic Sea. I mean, technically, we don't have our trade person there, so I guess we wouldn't have. But Alexandria doesn't have anybody next to it. Well, no, right here. This is... Why did he put that there? Darn it, darn it, darn it. Where's his starter card? The Aegean Archipelago is its own little area. So having this ship there is not next to Alexandria. So technically, he's not next to Alexandria. The ship would have to be here. That's just really bizarre. Like, I consider this is like supposed to be like an area of islands. I don't think it's actually supposed to be inside like that. Oh man, where's he hiding the Ottomans? Here we go. What does their card say? Aegean Sea, light ship. Fleet 3 galleys. Yeah, it's up here. That makes more sense. I didn't think you put ships inside of this. It's just showing it's an area. So if you wanted to like put a core here, you got to control all 3 of these islands. Cyprus is its own area. That's all it's trying to say. Now, what's the Aegean Sea next to? It's not next to Alexandria. Where is it? Because here's a line. Yeah, this whole thing is the Mediterranean. And here's the line. So the Mediterranean is cut off here. So the Aegean Sea does connect to Alexandria. See this portion right here? That's the Aegean Sea. So yes, he moves his guy there, and he's going to get 2 cubes. All right, and then let's keep going. Where's the card? Over here. The last one is Kiev or Krakow. Now, Kiev is right here. So yes, he would move there. Poland would get credit for it. Krakow also works. Either one works for the bots. So Poland would get 2 cubes. And like I said, they just teleport. Okay, so that's Poland. I'm sorry, no, that wasn't Poland. That was... Whose turn was that? That was England. So after England would be Denmark. And I'm going to pause real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, I took a pretty lengthy break there. Just making sure my microphone's not broken, because these are the transitions where sometimes I don't have my microphone fully plugged in. And it's just, if it loosens just the slightest bit, that's how I lose my audio with you guys. Okay, so there's less cubes than they have available. They do have they have rebels, but I don't think they had a revolt. No, they do. They have a revolt. So they have more than 0. They are under attack by rebels, and that includes the fact that they lost a town. So they are going to go to defend, and they have to spend a cube to do that. So we come over to them. They're going to spend a cube. Any area with invaders. Yes, because the rebels are considered invaders. Do they have 2 left? And army in an area where it can siege provinces? The answer is no. Is their army greater than any invading force? The answer is no. Their army is only 2. I guess you could argue that it is 2 times greater. But it's barely 2 times greater. So, I guess you could say yes. I mean, I would like to get a recruit action in for them, because that's all this loop is they do a recruit action. So let's do that. We're going to do a recruit action for them. I mean, technically, and so what that does is... that thing where it's disappearing off the map is really weird. But anyways, now they have a strength 5. They're back to here, so they're saying yes. They're not on the map. Is there any area where the bots, towns, where army would not trigger a battle? Of course. Invaders in any area where bots MAC is greater than invading force? Yes. Place army in the area with the largest invading force and go to land battle. So here's their army. And they're going to go here, of course. with the Holstein area. I guess technically that's all of Jutland here. So they're going to go there, and they do a battle. And right now, it's just a single town, so it's a single dice roll. And it's a miss, so nothing happens. And then they're going to end turn. But they do gain 1 cube for being victorious. So let's not forget that. And then what they're going to do is they're going to siege next turn. All right, so we did that, and now it's our turn. Now, we were at war, and we're going to spend a cube to activate our army and move it into their area. And I know we're upside down, but I'm basically moving into... I'm here, so I need to go into the Venetia area first. And this area includes... this is really where it's bizarre. It includes them, even though I can't siege them, because it's a little island nation. So it's 2, 3, 4. And then see, they have a port here, and they have a port there, so that's 5. So they got a strength 5. And then we're going to have to draw and see if they get a general. They do not. That is not a general. So they're going to... We have this here, but the dice we've been using are over here. So let's get another one. I'm just trying to... Here we go. Here's 5 of them. We're going to roll these 5. Actually, no, that's not how it works, but I'll keep the roll. No, it's not how it works. We'll do it again. They're supposed to roll 3 at a time. They actually battle us the same way we battle them, which is here on the back of our card. They're going to roll 3 dice plus any leader skill, which they don't have, and then we're going to do the same. We have, a bunch of troops. I can put my leader in the battle, which is going to roll 1 extra die, and they're going to roll 3 dice. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to roll 3, and my leader will go in. So I'm rolling 4 dice against him. So we're going to do these 4 right here. And I did 2 hits. So we said he had 5, so he's now down to 3. And now he's going to roll 3 dice. So he did 1 hit on us. So when they hit us, we go into the exhausted manpower. And then I'm going to go again. So we did 1 hit, so he's down to 2. But it's simultaneous, so he still rolls 3 dice. And he hits us once. Now, if he would have rolled 2 of those, our leader would have gotten wounded. Now, we're going to keep rolling 4 dice. And we finished him off. Now, there's only 2 of him. He still rolls 3 dice, but only 2 of them can hit us. And see, there's a second one, but they have to both be in the same roll. So he does hit us twice, which is a little unfortunate. So we lose 2 of our troops there. But we do win. And because we win, we gain a cube back, which is extremely important for our strategy. And yeah, we're low on troops, but it is what it is. And we do win. So I'm going to be able to siege this next round. But I won't be able to siege that. But anyways, that's our turn. Poland has a crap ton of cubes. So they're going to do a convert or a focus eco. I'm pretty sure they're doing focus eco. But let's make sure. Orthodox. See, they don't control all the area. They have to control the entire area to be able to do a convert. See, they don't have that anywhere. So yeah, they're just stuck with. They don't. Well, they start with Warsaw because they get to cheat, but they normally wouldn't even have Warsaw. Okay, so we did the focus eco, and that's it. And they're still sitting on a ton of cubes. And then last but not least is Mr. Muscovy, and he has 4 versus 3, so he will draw a card, and that's a convert, which is not going to happen. And so he's doing a focus eco, and there you go. So we go back to the beginning again. We have the Ottomans, which who has passed so far? Just Castile. So the Ottomans are going to do an event. They're not at war. I don't think they had a revolution. See, the unrest, that's done through the unrest action, but that's not considered invading. Invading would require actual rebels to be there, or an actual town is occupied. That's not the case here. So they go down their little tree here. They don't have 0. This is a no, because they're not defending against an unrest in their own town. They don't have to siege. They don't have colonization. This is a no. So are there butt cards left? Yes. Well, hold on. They spent more than they have left. Sorry. They would go here. They're not at war. So now they're going to go pick an event. So let's do exactly that. Here's their roll. So they rolled a 4, which, if you remember, is they're going to choose another player's event, which is actually out there. So my apologies for spinning the camera here. That's this one. So that means 2 more coins are coming on. And 2 more coins are coming on. And if I were to take this event, for example, I would get a whole bunch of coins. So let's go ahead and resolve this first. So border friction is coming up next. So they're choosing the successor of Vladislav, I think is how you pronounce that. And since it's an opponent's one, they're not gonna. So like this is an important one. Form the Polish-Lithuanian Union. That would have been fantastic for Poland, but instead they're going to get the refuse Kazimier's term. Poland rejects it as their ruler. They gain 2 cubes, a marriage with an adjacent NPR, and a claim on an area adjacent to the marriage. And then the Ottomans, out of all this, is just going to gain 1 cube. So Poland will get 2 more cubes. They have plenty of cubes. They get a marriage with an adjacent. So Poland, of course, is here. Who would they choose? They would choose an NPR that has a lot of tax base. I think they would choose the Teutonic Knights, which is really weird. They could possibly choose Crimea. But Poland is Catholic, so I think the Teutonic Knights is the better call. So yeah, they're going to do a marriage with them. And then, what did the cards say after that? No, and then. So they gain 2, a marriage with an adjacent NPR, and then a claim on an area adjacent to the marriage. So that's a lot of language, but so now we're going to go grab a claim out of here. So this is where the marriage is. So what would be adjacent that they would... I'm going to go ahead and choose the Livland area. Actually, I mean, that is 3 tax base. You could argue Brandenburg. The problem with Brandenburg, of course, is they're going to have to deal with the HRE. But if you have 2 that are equal, it's alphabetical order. So they're choosing Brandenburg. So you got a claim on them. Fair enough. We may be at war with Poland sometime soon. All right, so that was the Ottomans. Oh, and they did their events, so we got to go I'm having trouble finding it. This comes over. All right, so now we're on France. So they've spent more than they have. So they have 7 spent and, only 5 left. So France is going to do an event. So let's grab this and move it over. Let's roll their die. They rolled a 2. The card should be over here. All right, so 2 more coins on this one. 2 coins go on this one. This guy is chosen. Let's not forget to give France their cube. The new card is France's. So it's happened both times now. Poland did an event, and then their card came out. Now France did an event. So that's my fear. Like, this is a lot of money, and I have 0 money. So I might want to do this one, right? But then mine's going to come out. Then I don't want to... Mine has to do with Hungary, and I need mine. Or otherwise, it's going to be really hard to get them to join. And then I got all these... I'm going to put the coins, like, above. Instead of on top. That actually makes the most sense, doesn't it? Let's just put the coins right above them. Well, why didn't I think of that? I'll just move the card slightly down a little bit. Okay, so Neapolitan succession. They're going to choose option A with this one. And I'm having trouble reading that. So let me find my I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Where's my player? Here. I'm going to put the card in my hand, because now I can see it a little easier. Add pink. Okay, so this is DNPR on Naples, Salerno, Bari, replacing any existing towns or vassals there. Existing marriage or alliance in Naples remain. All players who lose a town due to this gain a marriage with Naples and a claim. And then they gain 2 in Naples. Okay, so let's do a couple things here. First of all, we're going to give France 2 cubes in Naples. And then what they're saying is Naples. Where's Bari? Oh, Naples, Bari, Salerno. These 3. And it's going to be the pink. Napoli, Salerno, and Bari. Okay. So let's that's going to be all we have to do. So here's the pink ones. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3. And what they're saying is the DNPR got formed. So, and I can flip that over. Now, why do some of these say a C and some of them don't? It's the expansion thing. So you got these new ones, and then these are the old ones. So it's so you can have 2 different types of P tokens. But see, there's only there wasn't enough in here to do both. So the way you would do it is we could just throw this back in, and then we could just clone them. So there you go. These ones have a C on them. Technically, we could have another pink nation, that doesn't have a C. That's what it's trying to mean. So these are NPRs still, but they're dynamic NPRs, which means that if there's an event card, and I don't think we have one, see these little symbols at the bottom? Eventually one's going to come up that shows that they're going to expand. Like they may declare war or whatever. They don't technically declare war. They just expand, and they're going to blob across the map and get bigger and bigger, and it's going to make them harder to conquer. If you're trying to, they're going to be a little stronger than a regular DNPR, or a regular NPR, I meant to say. Okay, so that was France. So now we go to Spain. They're passed. And then we're to England, who I think did an event already. So England, no, they need to do an event. So that's what they're going to do now. So let's roll their die. They rolled a 2. So we're going to swing around, come back. All right, so 2 more coins over here. This is going to get selected. And this is going here. And the next one is Religious Zeal. There's only 1 more card left. So if that's our card, we might want to know about that. But this one, hunting, who must add 1 to their ruler. And you gain 1. But this is not horrible. It's not good. The only reason why I'd want this is for the money, which there's a lot of it. So, this is England. They probably would have wanted this one. I mean, seriously, they should have wanted that one. But anyways, the dice roll didn't work out that way. They're choosing A, so they're going to press a claim, gain 1 cube, place a claim in any area adjacent to your realm, and lose a total of 3 cubes from that area or areas adjacent to it. That should be pretty simple for them to do. And they're getting 2 cubes because they got 1 for having coins on it as well. And let's grab a claim from them. And this is pretty easy to figure out for them. They have Ireland, they have Scotland. Ireland is earlier in the pecking order. I mean, you could argue that Brittany is even higher, so it goes to, these are not, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4 tax base. So the tax base wins. And then they're going to lose the cubes. Will they? Let's make sure. Let's make sure. So this has to do with province, area, and C-zone selection. Always do it in alphabetical order if no other preference. Yeah, so it would be alphabetical. I don't think that it's benefiting the bot to put a claim. Or hurting the bot, or hurting the opponent. So, I mean, it does say areas of highest possible tax value. Like you could probably interpret this one of 2 ways. We could do pure alphabetical, and that means it would go in Brittany. Or you could look at it as, hey, they want to take the highest tax base because that'll help them. But the reason why I hesitated with the Scotland thing, they have 2 cubes there, and they're going to lose it. Whereas they have 1 cube here. They would lose this one as well. Oh, look at that. Aquitaine. It would go there. All right, yeah, we'll put the claim. Well, they already have a claim on France. So there you go. That's resolved. It would go on Brittany or Scotland. We're going to go ahead and do Brittany. So we'll cover that up. And that means they lose these 2 cubes from the map. And we're not done. Now all the triangles get sick. And then this one here is, I can't remember that one, but we'll look it up real quick. I think it's ships get lost at sea. So the triangles are getting sick. I have a circle, circle, and a plus, so we're good there. We got lucky twice now. And yes, I'm pretty sure it's the Lost at Sea one. There's the DNPR expansion, by the way. This one. Disband one ship of each opponent that's not adjacent to a friendly port. I don't think that's the case anywhere. England's the only one that laid out a ship, and they are adjacent to a port. And who's doing this? England's the one that's doing this. Everybody's adjacent to a port. So no harm there. And that's the card. England's done with their turn. So before we go, Denmark gets to go. And I think they're sieging, if I remember correctly. So by sieging, Denmark is... Well, there's one other person who had a revolt. Who was it? Oh, it was Castile. Was that was before they passed or after? I think it was after. All right, well, that's going to hurt them. But anyways, they got rid of they sieged, and since it's liberated, it does flip back because it's a core. If it's not a core, it does not flip back. And where does this go? This goes back here. All right, so that was Denmark. They're done, and now we go to our turn. So we're running out of turns. That's my largest concern, but I do want to do a siege action. So it'll cost me 1 military power, and we grab one of our towns, and we flip it over to its unrest side, and technically you put an occupado on. And just to be extra clear, siege is one of the things. It's on page 28. So you activate your units, you siege. And the way the siege works is it's based on the makeup of your troops. So I have 3 troops here. Each infantry has a siege value of 1. So they said it was page 28. Pick an area, calculate the siege strength for the units you have, and you pay an additional cube for each unit taking part beyond the first. So then the enemy provinces have to have a tax value equal to or lower than your siege strength. In our case, it's a tax value of 1. If you wish to siege an island province, you need to have a ship. That's the thing I was telling you about. So if it's rebel town, you also remove any of the unrest from the province. I guess the core thing doesn't matter. You just remove the unrest. If it's an NPR province, place an occupied token, and then one of your own with the rebel side up, or unrest side up. Ships in the port of a siege province must immediately be moved. Players who regain control, then they're occupied. So we don't own it. We just occupy it. And the ownership is not resolved until the peace treaty. So anyways, that's the whole turn. And like I said, I'm running out of turns because now we did add 2 extra bots, right? This is normally a 6-player game. In a 6-player game, if 4 people pass, then you have to, you're forced to pass everybody else. So we're going to change that to 5 people need to pass because it's a 8-player game. And so, I mean, in a 6-player game, 4 people have to. And let's talk about that real quick because we got to calculate how that's going to work. The game doesn't assume an 8-player game, and when you're doing phase 2, first player immediately gets 5. So right here, number of players. So it shows 4th to pass in a 6-player game. So from 3 to 4, it increased, but then it was 4 or 5, and then 6. So I'm thinking 6, 7 is 4, and then when you add an 8th player, we got to get to 5 passing. So 5 players have to pass. Anyways, we're done. And now Poland is up. They have a lot of cubes. So we know, well, unless one of theirs revolts. Nope. Let's do it. All right, so they're doing diplomacy, which is 1, 2, and 3. And I'm pretty sure I know what their diplomacy is going to do, but let's go in here. They're looking for a marriage and an alliance. And we'll leave it up as we go up here. They have a marriage here, and they also have a marriage there. So you have 2 marriages, but not a marriage and an alliance. So here they're looking for an alliance, and they would have had one if they did their own event. Do they have 2 cubes somewhere and no alliance and an adjacent bot? And that's where Lithuania is kicking in. So as much as they're married to these guys, Lithuania is the one with the cubes. So the answer to this one is yes. So they're going to select, like if they had more than one to choose from, they're picking the highest tax base, which is Lithuania. Is an alliance possible? Yes. So now they're going to put an alliance there and add a cube. So the alliance, we're going to put it also on Lithuania, and then add another cube to Lithuania. All right, so then it's done. Sometimes they do a whole crap ton more, but that one was pretty straightforward. Okay, so they're done. Now Muscovy is still not more spent than they actually have. So they're going to draw another cube. Well, actually, let's check. Yeah, they're still in this situation. So yeah, they're going to draw another one. So they're doing a military action. And that's going to cause a military card to get discarded. So this is going to be interesting. Do they have any claims? I don't think they do. So no claims anywhere. So we're going to roll their die for them. And they're going to do a military, which is the owner of Neva, which is probably, it's probably Novgorod. Yep. So yeah, they're picking Novgorod, and it's very straightforward. When it's a military on somebody for the first time, they're putting a claim on Novgorod. Now let's make sure we did it right here. So are they at war? No. Do they have a claim? No. Are they adjacent? No. No. They did their military chart. Is it an opponent? Yes. Do they have a casus belli? No. No. Place a claim on the target. Done. There you go. I may have done this once or twice. So we go back to the Ottomans. And I need to remind myself who passed. Only Castile's passed so far, but the Ottomans are very likely, they're at 4 out of 5. So the Ottomans are very likely going to pass, and yes, they will. So we got another pass, and they get a cube. Now we go to France, who is at war. How did I do this? I actually made them do the event last time. That is not what they would have done. Well, actually, no, it is wonky because they're at war, but they're not going to necessarily march over here unless they draw a military card. That's actually what's going to happen. So 367 to 246. And let's just go through the chart just so you can understand what I'm talking about. This is a no. Are they under attack? And the answer is no. They're not defending. They're If anything, they're the aggressor. Is their army on the map and can they siege? No, because they've already sieged. There's no colonists. This is no. Do they have butt cards left? Yes. So they're going to draw a butt card, and then they just do whatever it says. But hold on, got to go back. They spent more than they have left. Yes. Are they at war and have 4 or more left? Oh, if they are, then they're going to draw a cube. Let's see. The answer is yes. So they'll draw another card. They're not passing. Very good. So normally it would be diplomacy, but see, they're at war, so they're going to do a military action. And actually, this is what they were looking for. This is what they were looking for, because with the military action, are they at war? Yes. Select enemy realm with the greatest strength. Done. If army is less than 3 units, increase it to 3. Nope. Is the army size greater than double their strength? No. Do they have 4 or more left and more manpower? No. Is the army on the board? Yes. Check for Mac. Can they siege in current area? No. Hostile units 1 or 2 spaces away? Yes. Move army to enemy area and range. Trigger battle. And end turn. So the army is going to move to here. And they have a strength of 1, 2, and 3. 4, in fact. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's not necessarily good for France here, but let's go ahead. We're going to roll 4 for them. Oh, hold on, they're at 4, so that means they draw a card. And it is a general with 2 cavalry dice. So we're going to roll all of this. And look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Holy buckets. 5 hits. So France got their army wiped out. And so then they come off the board. I'm going to put it there for now. So, would have been nice if they would have recruited first. Yeah, but that's not what the bot chart said to do. And it was because they didn't have 4 cubes. If they would have had 4 cubes, they would have recruited. It's a little bizarre that way. But anyways, that's their turn, and Castile's passed. England has also passed? No, they're probably going to. They have 6 cubes left. Oh, they're equal. So just because they did an event, I mean, they actually gained cubes from that event, so now they're back to drawing cards again. So that's exactly what they will do. So they have a convert, which they're not going to do, and instead they're going to do a focus eco. Now look at this. They do this, so then we're going to grab this, and they just completed the economic milestone, which is this one. So a couple things happen. First of all, they're going to get 5 points. Secondly, they ignore the text, but they get 2 cubes, just like we would. So they're going to get 2 cubes for that. And they get these 2 cubes back, because that's what happens when you finish your focus. So they have a lot of cubes now. They're not going to be passing. And that's good for us because we need more time. All right, so England's done. So now we go to Denmark, who only has 1 cube. And they're going to start the process of passing. And that's the first big guy here that we're going to drop in. And see, they got all these errors happening, but we'll put it up here. All right, so Denmark has to roll. They rolled a 6, which means they want to do their own And their own isn't out here. And they're not at war, so they're going to go to the first one. So all this money goes away. 2 goes, and technically these move over. 2 goes there. And 2 goes here. And the last card that comes out is Revolt. So our item is not here. We are going to have to pick one of these. And I thought that only 2 of these get chosen. So have we been doing this properly? Yeah. So only 2 left to choose, Moscow and ourselves. So that makes sense. 1 card always gets discarded. So like this circle one, we don't want that one because that's our leader. So I may not want to choose this one. And as long as Muscovy doesn't choose it, we might be golden. All right, so tragedy strikes at court. And this is who again? This is Denmark. So they're going to choose A, powerful regent, flip all royal marriages on your capital to their flame side and replace your current ruler with Anne. Then remove your marriage from 2 NPRs. Player realms whose marriage were flipped gain a... they don't use the leader, but basically what it means is anybody who has a marriage with them would get flipped. But nobody has a marriage with them. But they do have a marriage with Sweden, and they're going to lose that marriage is what the basic outcome of this is. I'm going the wrong way. So I'm just going to drop it here. Because yeah, there we go. I can't see very well. So they lost their marriage. It's not a very beneficial card for them. It's actually a pretty crappy one if you ask me. I mean, the whole point of this is to get Anne as your ruler, and, you know, they don't really use rulers, but, yeah, I mean, it did affect them. It just didn't affect them in a very positive way. But there's no promise that events are supposed to be positive, I guess. All right, so their turn's done. So now it's our turn. And yes, like I said, we're rapidly running out of time. We did siege them properly. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to here, which requires an activation. I only have 3 troops left, and they are going to have 1, and then that's 2 more for 3. So they will have 3 troops versus our 3 troops. I'm going to add my leader to make it a 4th. So let's go ahead and see how bad this is going to get. So here's my 4. I only hit 1 of theirs. And then here's their 3. Oh my gosh. They wiped us out. And that's not good. Look at how many are in my exhausted manpower pool. So, and then, oh no. This is the one we needed. And yeah, we lose our army on the map. This is the one that's actually encroaching into the empire. Man, we did not do well, folks. And I don't think there's anything I could have done better. All right, so we didn't even win the battle. If we would have won the battle, we would have gotten the cube, and then that would have been enough to siege the province, and then we'd have been fine. And you know what? They had 3 power. They would have rolled the 2 yellow dice on top of it. I'm not going to roll because they just did everything. Well, no, I don't know if there's... Yep, there's possible they may injure my leader. They had 1 outcome, but not 2. So we got lucky. Okay, we had no money. I couldn't get more troops. So now we're to Poland, who has not yet passed. Oh, they have a lot of cubes left, yeah. So now they're going to convert, which doesn't happen. So they're going to do Papal Curia. So 2 cubes come over. An admin card goes away. And then Papal Curia is pretty simple. They're just going to... I got to look at it properly. It comes in from the left. Everything here shifts 1 to the right. And then this goes on, and whoever's at the end gets bumped off. Not always through nefarious means. Could just be old age. So right now, France is the controller because they have 2. And then the only person who ever be here would be whoever controls Rome. And right now that's an NPR. All right, well, I'm very bummed of my situation, but now we go to Muscovy, and yeah, they're gonna do an event. So we're gonna see which one they choose. Sorry, I'm getting confused here. Where is the... Here it is. So they're doing their event, which I'm just going to put here. And I'm going to clone this, actually. There. That might help. I didn't like the little war. The brown on brown is what's the problem. Any other color in it fits perfectly. But anyways, getting back to this, yeah, they're doing their event. So let's roll for them. So this is, they would choose their own, or they're going to choose the leftmost one. So they can't choose their own. They're going to choose the leftmost one. And so they will get a cube. And we're going to put 2 more coins on this one and 2 coins on that one. So we can choose this one here. And I don't know which one I want to do, but this one is probably going to be way better than this one. I mean, I could cause revolts on another person's area. But the problem is the circles. I don't want to damage the circles. But anyways, end 100 Years' War. So this is Moscow's choosing this. So they're going to choose B, the surrender of Maine. England, if at peace, may cede Maine to France. If they do, France and England gain 1 stability, enter a truce, and lose a claim in the other's realm. If not, they both gain 1, lose the stability, and any truce between them ends, you gain a cube. So Muscovy is going to get 2 cubes. Let's do that part first. All right, now the decision on England, the answer is they always say yes, but they will avoid saying yes if it doesn't benefit them. Like, so this ceding a Maine thing, I think they actually give that to France. Let's look at the card again. My memory is so bad sometimes. They may cede Maine to France. If they do, they gain... So this is only going to give them 1 stability. Or I'm sorry, it'll resolve 1 unrest. They lose a claim in each other's realm. This is an interesting thing. Does England do that? Because England is losing a town if they do this. I mean, yeah, they gain a stability, but stability doesn't mean anything for them. They will lose this unrest. That is the one benefit they'll get. I'm going to pause real quick and see what the internet has to say. All right, so if you believe AI, the England bot always cedes Maine. And I think I agree with it. We can click on the link here. How does the bot resolve choices in events you play? I think the answer is yes, because it does resolve that way when you look at the bot charts. So, for example, if we go here, pay X to do Y, if able to pay cost, do it. So that is another reinforcement that even though it hurts them, they will do it. So one town lost for England, one gained for France. And then they lose the, so the claim gets lost. I don't think France had a claim on them. So England loses its claim. And I think that's it. They gain a stability. That's right, that's right. So that means this flips back for them. And I thought, well, France had one that flipped back on its own. So yeah, France doesn't really gain a... Oh, right here, they had a claim. I think that claim was on England, although it was just in the area. But yeah, France is going to lose that claim. So where's their claims? There we go. All right, that was Muscovy. Now we get back to the Ottomans. And I need to pay attention to who's passed. The Ottomans have passed. So now we get to France, who is at war, but they no longer have 4 more cubes left. So they picked their event, so now they're going to pass. Yes, they're going to be the third to pass. And Castile has already passed. England is next. England has more cubes, so they're going to keep going. They're doing diplomacy. So 1, 2, 3. And this is going to be interesting because diplomacy is going to look purely at... it's definitely going to look at his cubes. So does he have a royal marriage? And now we're talking England here, and we got to look at Portugal first. See, they have this, but it's not adjacent to the bot. So then, do they have an alliance on an NPR adjacent to a bot? No, I mean, there's nothing. Do they have 2 cubes? And the answer is yes. So then they're going to go select them, do the alliance, and then end. So this is what I meant by, I didn't think they wanted to put a claim on Scotland. So they're going to drop an alliance, and then another cube goes on. Now remember, there's a 5 cube limit, but they have enough. And then, yeah, now their turn's over. So it was England. Then we go to Denmark, who is going to pass. So now we're at 4 players have passed. And remember, I said per our rules, we need 1 more to pass. It's probably going to happen very soon. In our situation, we needed the extra actions because I was hoping to take that 1 more town. I did not, and I'm sort of in trouble. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just do my event. So I have to do it no matter what. So I'm going to come over and be the last to do an event, and let's pick our guy. Again, I don't think I want to do this one. Now, I can wreak some havoc. Like, I can put 2 unrest probably on France or even Poland. But I have to choose one of my own to also take unrest in order to pull this off. It'll give me an extra cube. But you know what? There's more money to be had here. So I'm going to take this one. I'm keeping the coins here. In fact, I'm going to clone... No, I got the coins right in front of my thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So I got 4 coins, finally. Now let's resolve the actual event. So I'm just going to put it on top here. It's religious zeal. So here's my choice. I can pay 3 admin to research Inquisition idea. and optionally another one admin to change the religion in one of my areas with a diverse faith to my state religion. There is no diverse faith, at least I don't think there is. And you can tell here, we're Catholic, Catholic, Catholic. Yeah, it's everybody's predominantly Catholic at this point. Later on, that may not be true. And what did they say? Inquisition. So let's check out what's Inquisition. So Inquisition would be in this deck, I'm pretty sure. The Convert Area action and the Man of the Church card both cost less. If your state religion is Catholic, I would gain a cardinal. That's not horrible, because I know that, being in the HRE, we're going to get a lot of religious nonsense going on with Protestantism and all that stuff. So it wouldn't be a horrible one to have. I do have 3, so I can take it. And so the way it would work is it's an extra one above and beyond what's here, so it would just get added to the list. Anyways, let's check out what the other one is. What's the other option? Not horrible. Deuce Vote. Pay 3 to research the Deuce Vote idea. Or if your PR is Catholic, optionally pay 1 to do a call crusade. Which, that I definitely don't. Well, first of all, I don't have the diplomacy. I don't think I actually like this one, because it sounds like this one's more of a attacking Muslims thing. Let's check. I know that one's out. What does that say? Permanent. Holy War Casus Belli against adjacent distant realms and realms with a state religion other than yours, except either Christian realms if your PR is Christian. If a war with such a realm, mercenary units cost 1 less. Oh, I think Inquisition is more valuable. So I know I have all these dice here. Let's sort of maybe move them somewhere else. And we'll put it down here. And I will spend the 3 cubes. And I'm going to grab this guy. All right, so that's going to get me 2. Like normally it would cost me 5 cubes to do. So I'm going to get 2 points for that. And looking at this stuff, I'm nowhere close to having any of these. Yeah, that's all I get. I mean, I get 2 points. Now, if somebody else were to research this, then I would get 1 point for every other player that takes this. So my Convert action and the Man of the Church both cost 1 and 1 less, which that could be pretty good. And then also I'm going to gain a cardinal. So let's do that part over here. Oops. Everybody moves 1 to the left. So France is losing their cube. So we're the Curia controller. What a great time to be one too, because that means we're going to get extra cubes. See, we get all these bonuses. And before I end my turn, I'm putting this advisor down. He cost me 1, but see, I got 4 now, so I can afford it. Yay! So we got my advisor in just in time. And look at this. So this is my Man of the Church. So it's saying it would cost me 1 and 1 less. So it only cost me 1 ducat. to either change the state religion or add 2 cubes to an area, which is really good for my subjugate card. And then if I'm Catholic, I gate another cardinal. So the convert action should be right here. See, normally it cost me 3 ducats and 2, so now it's going to be 1 and 2. Yeah, I mean, that's not a horrible thing. Like right now I don't have to convert anything, but that's not horrible. Okay, my turn's over. So we go to Poland, who I thought passed. Nope, they didn't. Oh, actually, Poland's got a lot of actions to do still. So they got an unrest, which I think they do need to do. Yep, there it is. They're going to flip. They would flip 2 of them. It's going to cost them 1 cube. And a Diplo. Or was that an admin? That was an admin. This is a really nice card, by the way. All right, so before we move on, though, let's make sure I did it all correctly. It was a unrest action, correct? Yes. Do they own any provinces with unrest? Answer is yes. Remove it from 2 provinces. Prefer capital, then large, and then done. So after they went, then Muscovy. They're tied again, so they're going to draw a card. Whoops. All right, so they're doing an idea. 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to roll some dice here. I'm going to roll twice. 2, and then 4. Oh, let's grab one of their doohickeys. Okay, so from an idea perspective, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So they're doing this column, and then I always go from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 means they're doing church attendance duty. Remember, it doesn't matter what any of the stuff says; they just get 2 points. So 2 points for them, and oh, that's right. So they just got a admin. So what this means is they're going to resolve 1 unrest during the phase 3 step. They get a free resolution because their administration is efficient. Okay, I wanted to try something real quick. So if I take, let's say this one, and I'm going to clone it. And now I want to change the tint of this to one of these blues. See, like it does that, but it doesn't change the top. That's the weird thing about this. So then I think what you have to do is you have to do like the custom. See right there, there's the top image. Then you have to browse your local files, and let me see if I can find something. Okay, I did it. So this one is the Spanish one, right? So I just put a Chuck Norris, it's some Chuck Norris meme. See, like this boulder split in 2. I don't even remember what the actual meme is, but I did that, and then this one is for the brown one, and so I got a picture of a buffalo, which probably isn't as helpful, right? Because it still blends in, brown on brown. But anyways, there you have it. Now, if I want to do the other side, it's just as easy. You got to go into custom and then change your bottom image, and you can pick anything you want. So, for example, here you got I have the different stuff. I don't even know what I would choose, but like this is my dog. So I'm gonna just choose local. And if we flip it over, there's a picture of my dog. So pretty cool, but that's how you get rid of the yellow. Okay, points are in. Let's get rid of that. Okay. Moving on to, well, that was Muscovy because they just scored some points. So now we go to the Ottomans, who I think passed. France passed. Castile passed. Now we're at England, and I think they're going to pass. Six to whatever. So yes. Sorry about that. So yeah, England's going to pass. And that triggers the end of the round. Okay, so that means the three of us that are left, because there's 5 passes, we have 1 action left. And if we hadn't done an event, the last action is to do the event. So we just keep going in turn order. So after England would be Denmark, who's done. Then it would be us. So we get 1 turn. So what do we want to do with our 1 turn? I definitely don't want to do these cards. I have absolutely no cubes. I may have to just pass. I don't think there's anything I can do with no cubes. So, did I complete this? Do I have a base tax income of 11? I have 8, 9, 10. Because I didn't take that last town. So this game is not going as well as I had hoped. But it's okay. And see, by taking that town, that was giving me one of the 2 points that I needed to do this one. There was so much at stake here. So I don't know what I can do. I have to, I think, pass. Because there's nothing here that costs 0 cubes that I'm aware of. So I'm done. I'm not going to bother moving it. And then Poland has 6 to 6. So they would try to squeeze in 1 more action. They don't have any more unrest to do. So they're going to spend their cube on politics. Oh, and look at that. So Poland just finished 1. I think the politics one is this one. Yes. So they're going to get 5 points and 2 cubes. But that's their last section. And then who else was left? Muscovy, who would pass. So we're done. Next up will be phase 3. We're at 2 hours and 24, so I'm going to go ahead and end it here. But thanks for watching. As always, stay awesome.